I can't believe Hamza has 400,000 guys bopping their dicks. That was the fundamentals course. This is the advanced lesson. Not only that, I'm going to show you how to make the best omelet you've ever made in your life just to outdo and outcompete what Hamza did in his video. You see, Hamza forgot to mention hydration. Hydration gets your muscles looking thick and juicy, and same is true also for your shaft. Grab a big glass of water, add some table salt to it, and chug it. That's going to give you the vascularity, and I assure you that adds greatly to her pleasure. Another huge fundamental is getting sunlight early in the morning. When that early morning sunlight hits your eyes, it's going to recharge your dopamine circuits, and that's going to make you much more receptive to the kind of pleasure a woman can bring you. And of course, that's going to make you perform far better. But not only that, so when you have sunlight exposure in the morning, it also activates your pineal gland, which is essentially your center of sexual energy. So sunlight in the morning is an absolute non-negotiable. Hamza said something about eggs, and absolutely he's correct. Eggs are a fundamental to high testosterone, and high testosterone is a huge factor, of course, in sexual performance. So here I'm going to show you how to make the perfect egg omelette, which you're actually going to enjoy eating and actually enjoy making. Because if you don't enjoy yourself while you're cooking and eating, you're not really going to do it. It's not going to be a consistent habit for you in the long run. So first, you need high quality eggs. What's a high quality egg? It has to be either free range or pasture raised. Why is that? It's because when you have hens laying these eggs inside a coop, inside a building, inside a closed environment, the hens don't have vitamin D, so there's no vitamin D in the eggs naturally, right? You need the hens to be outdoors, eating insects and worms and whatever it is that hens eat, being exposed to sunlight so that they can actually store that vitamin D in their eggs, which then you can consume to obtain that vitamin D in a bioavailable form. So I got some beautiful blue eggs right here with me. I'm gonna break them, and just look at the color of that yolk. That yolk is so beautiful. Nice orange, deep color. That shows you that it's good quality eggs. It doesn't have to be that way. There's eggs which are yellow and they're still good quality, but this just looks nice to me. Then you go ahead and you beat them. And the more time you spend beating, the better and more smooth and consistent your omelet is gonna be. I have to tell you this, which is very important regarding your sexual performance essentially, is that you can have the perfect diet, you can have the perfect sleep, perfect everything, and you might still mess up because I haven't discussed, and even Hamza didn't really discuss, the biggest problem that you're gonna have, especially if it's your first time, especially if you're not experienced. So you have to be very vigilant about your performance anxiety. And this is the make or break factor, even more important than getting sunlight in the morning, which I consider to be highly, highly important. So I'm going to help you overcome performance anxiety for the rest of your life, including your very first time. But first, let me get this omelet started. I'm going to let my cast iron heat up a little bit when I add some ghee onto it. Ghee is a saturated fat, highly stable, highly nutritious. Strongly recommend ghee for cooking. It's just as good as butter, if not even better than butter. So Hamza mentioned the importance of butter. Why? Because butter is a saturated fat, just like ghee is. And the mainstream wisdom is that saturated fats are bad for you and polysaturated fats are good for you. This I believe to be wrong. I believe that saturated fats are actually the way to go. This is what our ancestors ate for millions of years and had zero problems with it until the modern day when cardiac arrest and other diseases have begun to proliferate. I find it hard to believe that that which was working for millions of years suddenly stopped working. So we have our ghee melting nice and good. I'm going to spread the ghee out a little bit. So when you're in the bedroom or the kitchen or the garage, wherever you all want to do it, the thing which is going to get you is the performance anxiety. I'm telling you right now that it's okay not to perform during your first time or even second or third time. It's because you will have many, many opportunities, my friend. You'll have 1,100 opportunities later in your life to bang her brains out, her or some other girl's brains out, right? So don't stress it on your first time. You're literally inexperienced. Think about it. If you were told to make a painting, you think your first painting would be your best painting? Or would it even be a good painting? Obviously not. In no skill are we expected high performance in the very first attempt. Why is it that we have this extreme pressure on ourselves when it comes to sexual performance that we need to perform from day one, the first attempt ever? Don't have this crazy performance anxiety. Don't have this crazy pressure on your head to perform, that you have to impress this girl and you have to do perfectly the very first time. You're not going to succeed in that. You don't have any experience. You're not going to be good at it the first time. And you know what a lot of guys don't understand? It's quite often that the girl is actually more nervous than we are. She's even more afraid of her performance than we ever are. But the difference is, girls can kind of hide their performance. They can hide or, fake their orgasm. We have to display everything, right? Our orgasm, our performance is very much visible. So perhaps there's a little bit more performance anxiety because of that. But I assure you, in her mind, she's also going crazy. She's like, can I deliver pleasure to this guy? Can I do my part? Can I make him happy? All these thoughts are going on in her head far worse than it is going on with your head. So have some compassion for her, It's not a competition. It's not a fight. It's literally sex. It's supposed to be one of the most beautiful experiences a human being has. And if you don't perform, you know what? The sun is still going to rise. You're still going to be okay. The world is going to continue. It's not the end of your life. Trust me, I know the feeling. I was a young idiot once too, right? I was going out with a beautiful Brazilian volleyball player at the time. And I got this terrible, terrible advice from literally the Men's Health magazine. It said something along the lines of, you need to bust a nut. Essentially, you need to masturbate before you have sex so that you last longer. This is utter garbage. Watching porn or masturbation destroys your sexual energy, and you won't be able to actually get hard and perform with an actual female, real human being woman if you engage in those kind of activities. So literally, my very first time with this beautiful Brazilian chick, who is actually a nuclear physicist right now. It's kind of crazy. So I had taken this bad advice, and not only that, this girl was making a Brazilian drink called a caipirinha or something like, I don't know how to pronounce it, right? But like this Brazilian drink. And I was anxious, I was nervous, so I had one too many drinks. And alcohol is terrible for boners, I assure you. Like if you have alcohol, the chance of you getting a proper boner diminishes rapidly. So I had taken that bad Men's Health advice. I was already anxious and nervous, plus I was having alcohol. So, it was already game over for me. I mean, I know that in retrospect, it was already game over for me, but I didn't know it at the time. So I couldn't perform. I'm not going to go into the gory details because I don't even want to go back there even in my memories, right? And, it was a disappointing and painful night. However, I was still in the game. The next morning, you see, the sun is your ally. The next morning, well, it wasn't just the sun which was rising, let's just say. She definitely got it. She was yelling in Portuguese and everything. So I succeeded in the end. But trust me when I tell you, I know the pain of bad performance. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but if it does, it's fine. You can joke about it later. Hell, me and that girl actually joked about it later, like a couple of weeks later. Well, she joked about it, to be honest. Me, in my head, like I was laughing, but in my head, I was like, shut up, bitch. And, it was a fun time, but I just want to alleviate your performance anxiety. It's not that serious. But on a more serious note, here's the omelet. Almost coming up. It's got a little bit stuck to the pan. This happens if your pan isn't hot enough to begin with. Like I said, this stove is kind of shit, so my omelet is not perfect. It is what it is. I have to tell you something more serious though. So, porn addiction. This is going to mess you up in a big way because porn affects your dopamine system. It affects your prefrontal cortex, which is the center of stoicism in your body and your brain. It's not the perfect omelet, but man, it's better than what Hamza was having. So I'll call it a win. And so you have your omelet. It's already nice and made. It has the ghee texture. It has a ghee flavor. What I'm going to do is put this aside and cut my piece of bread. Regarding porn addiction, right? You obviously want to break free from that. And I'm going to be making a video about this very topic. I already made it actually. It just needs to be edited. And this video is so good that I will actually make you a personal promise. That video is coming out in a couple of weeks. If you watch that video, you will break free from your porn addiction for the rest of your life. I literally explained step by step exactly what you need to do to break the addiction. So watch out for that video. Meanwhile, we have our breakfast almost ready. I have my Italian bread. I have my omelet cooked in ghee. And of course, I have a piece of nice dark chocolate. This is 85% cocoa dark chocolate. And I will pour myself a little bit of olive oil, a little bit on the omelet itself, and a little bit on the side. Olive oil is a mono unsaturated fatty acid. So It's not as stable as your ghee, it's not as stable as butter, but it's still plenty stable. It's very healthy. Olive oil is been used for thousands of years, right? So nothing surprising there. Far more healthy than your seed oils. And here we have it. Perfect breakfast. You don't have to have breakfast. I like breakfast, so I have it. It's a pretty light breakfast, so it works for me. Find out what works for you and have a nice day.